Welcome to the Chronicles of Lost Relations. I'm sure this is something you've come across many times before. I believe my life was flawless until that fateful day when everything changed for me. Ethan Hayes. I share my life with an extraordinary woman, Sophia. We were blessed with a lovely daughter, Lila, who is 6 years old. I met Sophia, as we all referred to her, during my senior year of college. At that moment, she was in her junior year, and our connection blossomed almost immediately. A month following her graduation, we tied the knot. Armed with my engineering degree, I secured a reputable position at a national firm. Sophia began her journey as a legal assistant at a law firm. 2 years later, she stepped away from her job when Lila was born to dedicate herself fully to motherhood. Life seemed idyllic until Lila embarked on her kindergarten journey. That was the moment Sophia chose to go back to her previous role at the law firm. Looking back, the signs were all around me, yet I failed to recognize them. I was convinced with every fiber of my being that Sophia felt for me the same profound love that I held for her. Upon reflection, it's evident that I made a mistake. Upon returning to her job, she began to adopt a more daring style of dress. Our once thriving intimacy faded into oblivion. Sophia started putting in extra hours, brushing off my worries whenever I brought them up. Whenever I mentioned the limited time she was dedicating to Lila and me, she'd dismiss it, claiming she was busy working for one of the senior partners and that it was a valuable opportunity. It's for what lies ahead and will provide us with financial support, she'd assert. A few months prior to that day, I encountered her superior, Nathan Price, at the firm's Christmas gathering. From the very first glance, I felt an immediate aversion towards him. He appeared haughty and indifferent in his interactions with me. I observed them intently throughout the event, yet there was no clear indication of any improper behavior between Sophia and her boss. Whatever was happening, they took great care to keep it from my view. It existed. I simply couldn't perceive it at that moment. As Lila's kindergarten year drew to a close, everything unraveled. Following her final day at school, she was ready to spend the weekend with my parents, allowing Sophia and me the opportunity to rekindle our bond. I had been anticipating a serene weekend with her, yearning to rekindle our connection and restore our closeness. Once I had dropped Lila off, I made my way home, filled with anticipation for the evening I had envisioned. An intimate dinner and a film at home, just the two of us. As I entered the kitchen, I caught sight of Sophia descending the stairs. She wore a chic, fitted dress paired with high heels, her hair cascading in flawless curls that beautifully accentuated her features. Her makeup was impeccable, as though she were preparing for an enchanting evening. "Wow, darling, you look absolutely amazing," I remarked, truly taken aback. I would have appreciated knowing we were going out. I would have hurried back home. Just a moment, and I'll be all set. Where are we headed? She smirked, a chilling, unfamiliar expression that sent a twist through my stomach. "We're staying right here," she responded. "I'm heading out, but not in your company." I stood still, grappling with the weight of her words. "Excuse me? What do you mean?" "Text. I have a date," she said casually, as if it were the most ordinary thing in the world. "This is merely the start. From this day forward, we will implement new regulations. I'm getting a ride from my boss for an evening out. I will not be at home. I have secured a room in the heart of the city." Her words struck me with the force of a heavy object. "What on earth are you saying?" I insisted, my tone escalating in astonishment. "You need to calm down and accept it," she stated, her tone icy and devoid of emotion. "This is the way it will unfold. I plan to return home at some point on Sunday." "Absolutely not," I exclaimed. "If you choose to leave through that door, don't expect a return." She remained steadfast. "Absolutely not, Ethan. I shall return. This is our sanctuary, and we are committed to our union. We will both make our home here. I want you to know that my feelings for you remain strong, yet I find myself yearning for something deeper. If you complicate things, it will be you who no longer resides here. Trust me, you definitely don't want to find yourself broke and behind bars. It wouldn't be beneficial for Lila to lose her father, would it?" Her words pierced through me in a way I never imagined. leaving me frozen in place, a mix of shock and anger coursing through me as she exited the room. Just as I was on the verge of confronting Sophia, the doorbell chimed. She rushed to respond, allowing her superior, Nathan, to enter the home. What was his reaction? Nathan inquired of her. "I'm not doing well," she responded with a detached calmness. It seems necessary to clarify the repercussions of failing to comply. Nathan was not a particularly imposing figure, roughly my height, perhaps even a bit shorter. "Mr. Hayes," he started, "I think it's important for us to talk." "Dialogue?" I exclaimed, my emotions surging with intensity. "I need to ask you to leave my home." "Feel free to give it a shot," he replied with a sly grin. "It appears you may land a couple of solid blows before my driver intervenes and brings it to a close. As the night draws to a close, you find yourself behind bars. Why not take a seat and lend an ear instead?" I cast my eyes toward the door and noticed a sizable figure looming on the threshold behind Nathan. Understanding that the situation was not in my favor, I whispered quietly to myself and, with a heavy heart, took a seat. "Good," Nathan remarked, a hint of arrogance in his voice. "Now we can engage in a thoughtful conversation." When your wife accepted the role of my personal assistant, she embraced extra duties, which included attending to my personal needs. Indeed, I'm talking about an intimate relationship. For the last 6 months, we've been entangled in this situation, but Sophia has become weary of the secrecy. This is the plan for how we will proceed from here on out. Your marriage will continue as it is, and your responsibilities as a husband and father will stay mostly the same, with one exception. I will be the one attending to Sophia's personal desires. Typically, this occurs at the office or in a hotel, but there are instances when, if you are away, we might utilize your bedroom. My fury surged as I rose to my feet. This is absolutely unacceptable. This is unacceptable to me. I will end my marriage due to her unfaithfulness. "Mr. Hayes," Nathan said with a smoothness that belied an underlying menace in his calm tone. "Such discussions do not lead to any constructive outcomes. It appears you may be overlooking the nature of my profession. I hold a prominent position as a leading attorney at the most esteemed law firm in the city, wielding significant influence. Should you choose to pursue a divorce, be prepared for significant repercussions that extend beyond the courtroom. Naturally, throughout the divorce process, we will ensure that we secure everything that belongs to you. You risk losing your home and your savings, all while being obligated to pay alimony as Sophia carries on her relationship with me. However, there's more to it. Your beloved little girl? She will not cross your path again. I will make certain that you face allegations of child molestation. The cost will devastate you. You will spend time behind bars, and even upon your release, visitation rights will be permanently denied to you. Your employer will terminate your position without hesitation, and your reputation will suffer greatly. How are your loved ones doing? They will leave you behind. All that will remain is emptiness. I remained frozen, incapable of uttering a word. Nathan leaned forward, his demeanor sharp and deliberate. I hope you will act wisely from here on out. If you share this arrangement with my wife or anyone else, you will encounter all that I have just outlined, along with an unexpected visit from my driver and his associates. If you believe you can just escape the city, we will find you. Embrace this new dynamic with an open heart and mind. Your wife is an exceptional assistant," he added, his voice laced with admiration. Then, moving closer to my ear, he whispered, "And she offers the most unforgettable experiences." I stood there, completely taken aback, as Sophia exited the room with Nathan, her boss, and now her lover. My whole existence felt like it had crumbled, leaving me in ruins, uncertain of my next steps. Thus, I sought refuge in the sole avenue that came to mind. I indulged in a drink. As I stirred awake on Saturday morning, solitude enveloped me. A throbbing hangover clouded my thoughts, and an unsettling sense of dread settled in my chest. Sophia failed to return home that day. She was absent again on Sunday morning. Later, when I went to pick up Lila from my parents' house, I had to summon all my strength to keep from breaking down in front of her. As we made our way home, she turned to me with her big, innocent eyes and inquired, Where's Mommy? The words I longed to express smoldered in my throat. Mommy has become a figure of betrayal for us both. Yet I held them at bay and managed a forced smile. I replied that Mommy had to work. The sorrow etched on her small features pierced my heart like a sharp blade. I struggled to maintain my composure. Upon Sophia's return home on Sunday night, she discovered me peacefully slumbering in the guest room. Thankfully, she stayed out. I doubted my ability to stay composed had she done so. The following morning, I rose early to assist Lila in preparing for school, when Sophia suddenly showed up. She remained mostly silent with me, directing all her focus towards Lila. As we were about to leave, Sophia leaned in to kiss Lila goodbye, then approached me with the same intention. I, however, turned away and stepped outside. That evening, after Sophia had tucked Lila in for the night, she burst into the basement, where I had been seeking solace in my improvised sanctuary. Is it going to be an issue? She inquired with a cutting tone. When you say we, I responded with a chill in my voice. Are you implying that I have a problem with you spending the weekend with your boss? Is it the issue you're referring to? She positioned herself with her hands on her hips, unmistakably ready for a showdown. Listen, I didn't intend for this to occur, she replied with a hint of defensiveness. It began simply with Nathan and I enjoying our morning coffee together. He appreciated the unique creamer I bring to the office. He must have been excited to offer a taste of his unique creamer. I retorted, my tone laced with contempt. Refrain from being rude, Ethan, she remarked, her voice cutting through the air. Nathan possesses a remarkable ability to convince others. You've heard me mention my aversion to sushi, right? Honestly, I had never experienced it prior to this. Nathan persuaded me to try it, claiming it was an amazing aphrodisiac. The initial experience was also the moment he and I shared our intimacy. I'm sorry, Ethan, she continued, her voice devoid of any real regret. However, it was quite enjoyable. He assured me that I would be promoted to his personal assistant. Consider the advantages. I am currently making a much higher income. I will embark on a journey with Nathan and encounter remarkable individuals. This setup will benefit us in the long term. Oh, she remarked, almost as if it were a fleeting notion. Nathan even mentioned that you might be able to share intimacy with me again, provided certain conditions are met. Oh dear. I eagerly anticipate this revelation, I declared, my frustration intensifying. You can only be intimate with me after Nathan has been with me, Sophia said, her tone carrying a hint of regret. He maintains that it should occur only after he has made his impression. He believes that this will occur frequently. Wow, I responded, my tone laced with irony. Nathan is generously granting me the opportunity to engage with his eager companion after him. What a remarkable display of generosity from him. You can't speak to me that way, Sophia retorted sharply. Ethan, it's time for you to embrace this. It won't last forever, just a couple of years at most. Following that, we will find ourselves in a remarkable place for our shared future. It's hard to believe you genuinely think this, isn't it? I exclaimed, filled with disbelief. In your reality, after the illustrious Nathan has had his way with you, I'm just meant to gather the remnants and spend my days growing old by your side. Is that it? What occurs when your beloved Nathan chooses to bring a child into the world and anticipates that I will take on the responsibility of raising it? Sophia averted her gaze, her head bowed in silence. Oh no, I exclaimed, a sense of foreboding lacing my words. You're not expecting, are you? No, she replied swiftly. However, he has expressed a desire for me to discontinue the pill in a few months. I expressed that I wanted you to agree with the new arrangement before we proceeded with that step. Unbelievable, I murmured, shaking my head in disbelief. Leave my presence. Sophia halted at the summit of the stairs and glanced back at me. I will be in our bed, anticipating your arrival. Once I discontinue the pill, I won't be accessible to you until, well, you understand, this has become overwhelming. She needed to realize that I would never support this devious scheme. I relocated to the guest room and began to devote more hours to the basement. Yet, for Lila's sake, I endeavored to maintain an appearance of normalcy as much as I could. In the following week, I delve into the life of Nathan Price and swiftly realize that his assertions of power and influence were indeed not overstated. His ties were extensive, and his notoriety for being merciless was widely recognized. I reached out to a divorce attorney, seeking direction in this challenging time. Regrettably, her evaluation was bleak. Seeking a divorce would devastate me. She knew Nathan Price well and was convinced he would not think twice about making false accusations of child molestation against me. She declared that divorce was not a feasible choice. The attorney did present a glimmer of optimism. She recommended that I collect proof of my wife's intentions. If I could capture a dialogue where they clearly outlined their plans or conspired against me, it could potentially provide me with an advantage. Nevertheless, she warned that even with proof, confronting someone like Nathan Price would be a challenging endeavor. She suggested employing a subtle, voice-activated recorder and concealing it within Sophia's possessions. Heeding her advice, I acquired a recorder that resembled a pen and discreetly tucked it into a small pocket in Sophia's purse, nestled among the other writing instruments. Though it seemed like a gamble, I couldn't conceive of a more fitting strategy in that moment. I began exploring various alternatives. I recognized that my legal avenues were dwindling, and I had to consider alternative approaches. In order to maintain my privacy, I opted for the public computers at the library. Based on what I had observed in crime dramas, detectives consistently examined a suspect's online activity, and I was keen to avoid any chance of being monitored. After hours of searching, I stumbled upon a radical concept. It was a profound shift, filled with ambiguity and entirely outside the realm of what I had ever envisioned contemplating. Yet, it was the urgency of my situation that propelled me onward. 3 hours later, I stumbled upon a quaint, somewhat questionable Oriental supply store. I put on an old hat, sunglasses, and sweats, attempting to blend in and avoid recognition. As I entered, a wave of relief washed over me at the sight of the store being vacant, save for an elderly man stationed behind the counter. I approached him with caution. I inquired softly, seeking tetrodotoxin and dimethylmercury. The elderly gentleman regarded me intently for a brief moment. Then a familiar smile spread across his features. Ah, facing challenges with a disloyal partner? I offered him a subtle smile in response. Are you able to provide what I'm looking for? Text, I do, but it comes at a cost, the old man replied. The total comes to $1,500, and payment is required in cash only. I take it you prefer to keep this transaction off the books. Foreseeing the cost, I had taken $2,000 along with me. I meticulously counted out $1,500 in 20s and carefully placed the stack on the counter. The elderly gentleman inclined his head before vanishing into a rear chamber. Shortly thereafter, he came back holding a modest paper bag that housed 2 vials. Exercise caution with these, he advised. A little bit gradually will bring about the intended result. He subsequently positioned 2 syringes at the rear. These will assist in the administration of it. Avoid contact between the substances and your skin. It's advisable to blend them into a liquid for consumption. I grabbed the bag and swiftly made my way out of the store, returned to my car. The compounds, tetrodotoxin and dimethylmercury, possessed a deadly nature that matched their elusive characteristics. Both were rooted in the depths of the ocean. Tetrodotoxin comes from the fugu fish, which, when expertly prepared, are regarded as exquisite culinary delights. Nevertheless, in concentrated forms, the toxin builds up in the body and can lead to fatal consequences. Dimethylmercury, a compound associated with mercury, is even more lethal. Both substances exhibit a gradual onset, accumulating within the system as time progresses, which complicates the task of tracing their effects. Even if identified, the origin could reasonably be linked to tainted seafood, like spoiled sushi. The genius of my strategy resided in how it was executed. Sophia would, without realizing it, perform the deed. She stored her favorite creamer at home until it was time to swap out the bottle at the office. Some time back, I inquired why she chose not to keep everything at the office. She expressed her concern that someone might take it, referring to the creamer as her little treat. At that moment, The true meaning of her words became clear to me. It was a secret she entrusted solely to Nathan. The non-dairy creamer, designed for long-lasting freshness, found its place in a case within our pantry. This is my chance. The case of creamers lay open, showcasing 11 bottles meticulously arranged. With great attention, I selected one for a more detailed examination. The cap lacked tamper-proof features, yet it was secured with a layer of paper and foil underneath. Choosing to prioritize safety, I readied a syringe filled with tetrodotoxin. The dimethylmercury posed a significantly greater threat, as mere skin contact could prove fatal. I wanted to make sure I fully understood the process before moving forward. With careful precision, I filled the syringe with the tetrodotoxin and delicately positioned the slender needle at the seal's edge. Upon entering, I carefully administered the liquid, ensuring that no obvious traces of interference were left behind. The bottle appeared pristine once the needle was taken out. With newfound confidence, I went through the same procedure with the other 10 bottles. After completing the work with the tetrodotoxin, I meticulously set about preparing the dimethylmercury. With meticulous care, I administered the second toxin into each bottle, making certain there were no spills. At last, all 11 bottles have been meticulously prepared. After a fortnight, I observed that one bottle had vanished from the case. The count had dwindled to 10. A heavy burden settled on my conscience, prompting me to wonder if I had crossed a line. Nevertheless, Sophia's actions swiftly dispelled any lingering doubts. On that Thursday night, the tradition she called sushi night unfolded once more. That night, she and Nathan claimed to be working late and enjoying sushi together, but I was well aware it was merely a cover for their affair. Lila and I enjoyed our usual dinner together, and after tucking her into bed, I made my way back to my quiet space in the basement. Sophia strode in, exuding her characteristic sense of superiority. "If you're looking for intimacy, you have a month to make it happen," she proclaimed. "Nathan has made it clear that I'm stopping the pill in 4 weeks. Following that, access will be denied." Fury coursed within me. "Allow me to clarify this. You're giving me a short chance to be with my own wife before you attempt to have a child with your superior? How magnanimous," I remarked through gritted teeth. "Wasn't it established that I couldn't lay a finger on you unless you were already burdened with his taint?" She wore a sly smile, appearing completely unbothered. "Indeed, and please refrain from using that term. I have expressed my strong dislike for it." "Then I'll decline," I retorted. "I wouldn't come near you, regardless of any dirt that may be present." "Do as you please," she remarked with a self-satisfied grin. "I'll be in our bedroom upstairs. It has been some time since we shared a moment of closeness." She pivoted and strolled off, exuding an air of contentment. I whispered softly to myself as she walked away. "You wouldn't see love even if it stood right before you." I recognize that some may believe I overstepped, and that ending my marriage would have been the appropriate choice. Nonetheless, considering the threats directed at me, the peril to my daughter, who is the most cherished individual in my life, and the risk to my liberty, I viewed my actions as a means of safeguarding myself. My actions were undeniably wrong, yet I rationalized them as a necessary reaction to the extraordinary dangers they posed to me. Approximately a week later, I observed that the case of Kramer had dwindled to 9 bottles. Another month passed before the initial signs of its effects started to emerge. I had been paying close attention to Sophia whenever she was at home, and I began to notice subtle shifts. Her complexion became more pallid, yet it was her hands that truly captivated my gaze. Throughout dinner, she repeatedly flexed her fingers and wrung her hands, unable to dispel the feeling. The toxins in the Kramer began to exert their influence on her nervous system, gradually leading to its decline. "Is all well, Sophia?" I inquired, attempting to convey sincere worry. "I don't know," she replied, her voice wavering. "My fingers are tingling, reminiscent of that sensation when your hand goes to sleep after resting on it for too long. For approximately a week, this has been occurring. I've been experiencing some shortness of breath lately. It's likely just a trivial matter," I remarked, maintaining a cheerful tone. "It might simply be a result of stress." Is there anything at your workplace that's creating stress or discomfort for you? Her expression changed, and a subtle sneer appeared on her face. Everything is perfectly fine at work. All is proceeding wonderfully. I believe it's merely the result of stress. After a fortnight, only 8 bottles remained in the box of Kramer. I imagine they were consuming copious amounts of coffee. Sophia's symptoms, however, have become unmistakably pronounced. She started to feel more intense body aches. Her shortness of breath became more severe, and her skin had developed a distinctly ashen hue. Her condition was increasingly difficult to overlook. On a Thursday evening, Sophia returned home sooner than she typically did, surprising me in the process. "What brings you here, Sophia? Isn't it the night for sushi?" I remarked, my voice dripping with irony. "I'm not in the best spirits, and Nathan isn't either. We chose to call a night early," she responded. "Ah, what unfortunate timing that is. I mentioned, you know, that significant project you and Nathan were meant to kick off? Delivering that package becomes quite the challenge when both of you are unwell." Sophia moved in closer, her voice dropping to a whisper, ensuring Lila remained oblivious. "Please be mindful of your behavior around our daughter. I'm going to recline for a bit." After dinner, I escorted Lila to her room to prepare her for bedtime. As I strolled by our bedroom, the unmistakable sound of Sophia retching reached my ears. I paused, my hand hovering over the bathroom door, contemplating the moment before I stepped inside. "Please tell me you're not already expecting," I said softly. "Forget you," she retorted sharply. "I can't possibly be pregnant at this point. I recently stopped taking the pill last week. Perhaps a little compassion would be in order, don't you think? I'm feeling quite unwell at the moment." "Empathy?" I let out a derisive laugh. "How amusing it is to hear that from you. I am your wife, Ethan, and it's important for you to treat me with respect and kindness." I interrupted her abruptly. "Negative. My wife passed away when she went to work for that jerk. She was substituted by an individual I hold in low regard. If you believe you will receive any understanding, regard, or even warmth from me, you are mistaken." I pivoted and exited the bathroom, leaving her bent over the toilet. Sophia remained nestled in bed as I set off to drop Lila at daycare on that Friday morning. I ought to have reached out to her, yet truthfully, I felt indifferent. At midday, my phone buzzed to life, and there she was, Sophia. "What is it that you desire?" I responded. "Please take me to the hospital," she said. "What seems to be the issue?" I inquired, perplexed. "I feel unwell, yet it's not my fault." "Greetings, it's Nathan. He has suffered a stroke." I found myself unable to suppress a chuckle. "Are you really asking me to take you to visit your partner in the hospital?" "Ethan, this is not amusing. They mentioned that he might not survive. I thought it could arouse some doubts if I didn't bring her along, so I decided to take the afternoon off." Upon my arrival, Sophia appeared to be in a dreadful state. I assisted her into the vehicle, and we made our way to the hospital. The drive was an absolute delight from start to finish. Even whistled all the way through. She continued to hurl insults my way, yet I remained unfazed. Upon arrival, we encountered Nathan's wife along with one of the senior partners, Derek Carter. Derek swiftly took Sophia aside, fully conscious of their secret relationship. "Sophia, are you certain this is the right place for you? His spouse is over there." Sophia, seemingly oblivious to my presence, directed her response to Carter. "Mr. Carter, I would like to inquire about his current condition. I must see him." Carter set us apart, ensuring I remained near. "Sophia, you don't look your best right now. The outlook is rather bleak. His left side is immobilized, and the medical professionals indicate that his organs are beginning to fail. Uncertainty looms over them, yet time is running out. If they fail to intervene, he may not survive the weekend." Sophia was weeping. "Kindly, Mr. Carter, I must speak with him. Could you keep his wife occupied while I make my entrance?" "I'll keep it brief." Carter huddled with Nathan's wife and his family, while I escorted Sophia to see her lover. Nathan appeared to be in a dire state. The left side of his face sagged, and even though he was conscious, words eluded him. Sophia hurried to his side, while I lingered by the door. A wave of nausea washed over me as I witnessed her embrace and kiss him, fully aware that I was present in the same space. Sophia's tears flowed more intensely until a nurse stepped in and instructed her to go. The nurse assisted her in exiting the room, leaving only Nathan and me behind. Nathan's eyes grew large with surprise as he realized who I was. He attempted to utter a word, yet silence enveloped him. "Nathan, your time is running out," I stated with an icy demeanor. "Before you proceed, I want to express that I chose not to follow your suggestion. I chose not to embrace your proposal for a new relationship. Rest assured, I will reveal to your wife all that transpired between us, and to my wife once you're no longer around. Be aware, in your final moments, that I am the one responsible for this. It's inevitable. There's no way to prevent it." Alarms began blaring from the machines linked to Nathan. As I emerged from the room, a flurry of nurses and doctors hurried in. They succeeded in sustaining his life throughout the weekend, yet he succumbed early on Monday. Sophia was utterly devastated when she received the news of her boss's passing. Her condition kept worsening. After collecting Lila from daycare, I returned home that Monday to discover Sophia still nestled in bed. She acknowledged that her beloved was no longer present. Even in her state, the sharpness of her words remained unmistakable. "I suppose you're going to revel in this now," she said with a sharp edge to her voice. "No, Sophia," I responded. "I won't indulge in any boasting. I won't feign sadness over his passing. That man shattered our union, and he has earned the consequences he faced. Our marriage isn't over," she said, though her voice trembled. "I can't fathom how you can be so harsh regarding Nathan. Nothing I experienced with him lessened my love for you." I explained that it was a way to progress, to ensure our financial stability. "You were aware that I would return to you." "Absolutely not. Sophia, that makes no sense. Our union has withered away, much like your connection with Nathan. Did you overlook my presence when you hurried to Nathan, declaring your love for him, embracing and kissing him while your husband was right there?" Sophia wept more intensely as I began to exit the bedroom. As the week drew to a close, her condition took a turn for the worse. Things escalated to the point where I had no choice but to take her to the hospital on Friday. On Saturday morning, I had a meeting with her doctor. "Mr. Hayes, your wife's organs are beginning to fail. Her blood reveals alarmingly elevated levels of mercury and another harmful substance commonly present in fish. Is she fond of seafood, perhaps sushi?" I struggled to maintain my composure. "Indeed, she and her boyfriend have indulged in a considerable amount of sushi over the past few months." "Partner?" the doctor inquired, taken aback. "I believe you know him well. Nathan Price, the individual who departed from this world just this past Monday. He and my wife were involved in a continuous relationship." That clarifies quite a bit. Despite having experienced a stroke, her symptoms closely resemble those of Mr. Price. Regrettably, her situation is dire. Her kidneys have succumbed earlier this morning. Time is the only thing left to consider now. The physician guided me to her chamber. Sophia lay connected to a multitude of machines, her appearance delicate and fragile. Her eyes sparkled with a hint of joy as I stepped inside, and she feebly beckoned me to approach. Her breath came in quick, shallow gasps, and words eluded her grasp. Sophia gestured for me to draw nearer. "I deeply apologize, Ethan. I have come to realize the extent of the pain I caused you. The physician informed me that my time is limited. I must hear your forgiveness before I leave." I moved in near Sophia's ear. She offered a subtle smile as I started to talk. "My beloved wife, I promised my everlasting devotion to you when we united in marriage. For better or worse, in sickness and in health, I declared. In that moment, you vowed your love and loyalty to me. You shattered those promises, diminished my worth, and brought me shame. Your actions have left an indelible mark on me and our family, and forgiveness feels out of reach. I wish you and your partner the worst of fates." I rose to my feet, observing a solitary tear trace its path down her cheek, then turned to leave the room just as the alarms blared to life. Within a mere hour, she was pronounced deceased. Informing Lila that her mother would not be returning was truly devastating. I shed tears for her, not for Sophia. Sophia had attempted to ruin my existence, but I outmaneuvered her first. The physician suspected that Sophia and Nathan had fallen prey to subpar sushi. Upon the transfer of Sophia's body to the funeral home, I was informed that there would be no autopsy or further inquiry. No authorities arrived to inquire about me. I disposed of the surplus bottles of creamer and the vials of toxins at the house, even going so far as to retrieve the 1/4 full bottle of creamer from Sophia's office while I sorted through her belongings. When I arranged for Sophia's cremation, her parents expressed their objections based on their religious beliefs, which were against the practice of cremation. I was indifferent. I desired her absence. With her ashes, all traces of her existence were obliterated. One might assume that my vengeance against Sophia and Nathan would bring me a sense of closure, yet I found myself far from finished. I compiled my recordings and created duplicates. I first went to see Emma Hayes, the widow of Nathan. Why face her now that he was gone? I was curious if she was aware and permitted it to unfold. I had a feeling she did. Nathan's candidness regarding the affair left no room for her ignorance. As she welcomed me into her abode, I activated my pocket recorder. "Mrs. Price, I have come to discuss your husband and my wife with you." She cut me off. "Hold on just a moment, Mr. Hayes. I was aware of the situation between my husband and your wife. It was quite apparent. Though he had wandered before, she would be the final destination of his heart. I empathize with your sorrow, as I have experienced the same loss of my husband. I appreciate it, Mrs. Price, but I need to clarify my position. You were aware that your husband charmed my wife, leading her to turn against both me and our daughter. Inaction makes you complicit, just like he was. Hold on a second, Mr. Hayes. I was not involved in my husband's decisions. It seems we may have differing opinions on that matter, Mrs. Price. If you had taken action, perhaps your husband wouldn't have felt at liberty to pursue my wife. Perhaps my daughter would still have a mother. Your knowledge will assist me in pursuing his estate for the pain and suffering inflicted on my family." I rose and exited her home, leaving silence in my wake. My lawyer informed me that going after Nathan's estate probably wouldn't yield results, but honestly, I was beyond caring at that moment. I sought vengeance. In addition to pursuing the Price estate, I focused my attention on the company where Nathan and Sophia had been employed. With Nathan gone, my attorney was convinced that the firm would disregard his behavior and oppose us at every opportunity. That was before I unveiled a recording of a dialogue between Nathan and his partner, Derek Carter. As I pursued my plan, I found it challenging to maintain a sense of civility towards Sophia. A particularly passionate outburst was captured on the recorder, which proved to be quite fortunate. A dialogue unfolded among Nathan, Derek Carter, and Sophia within the confines of her office. They deliberated on my opposition to their proposal, and in the recording, Derek extended his support in implementing their strategy. He even spoke of his acquaintances among law enforcement, prosecutors, and judges who were indebted to him, suggesting that they could leverage those ties to ruin me if I didn't acquiesce. Even though my attorney mentioned that the recording could potentially be excluded from court proceedings, we chose to proceed with it regardless. A meeting was arranged by my lawyer with the senior partners, including Derek Carter. She refrained from disclosing the purpose of the meeting, merely hinting that it could pertain to life insurance. I aimed to surprise them unexpectedly. As we stepped into the conference room, all 7 senior partners, Carter included, extended their sympathies regarding Sophia's loss. Everyone thought we had gathered to talk about the problems we were facing with her life insurance policy. Mark Holden, the managing partner, rose to his feet and began to address the audience. "Mr. Hayes, we all deeply regret your loss. We understand the challenges you've encountered with the insurance company, and I'm happy to share that we've effectively stepped in to resolve the issues." He pushed a check for $600,000 from the insurance company in my direction. I tucked the check away, then glanced up and said, "Thank you, Mr. Holden, but that's not the purpose of our meeting. We are providing your firm with a chance to resolve a significant issue before we take further action and initiate a lawsuit against you individually and your law firm. Mr. Holden, it appears that your firm was involved with Mr. Price in a scheme to lure my wife away from her family and orchestrate my arrest, prosecution, and imprisonment." Holden rose to his feet, a storm of anger brewing within him. How could you possibly enter this space and level such accusations against our firm, sullying the name of a departed partner? Mr. Hayes, we will not remain silent in the face of these unfounded accusations. Mr. Holden, I stated with composure, we can depart at this moment, but I assure you that my claims, as you refer to them, are indeed accurate, and I possess the proof to support them. I recommend that you just inquire with Mr. Carter about the veracity of my statement. All attention turned to Carter, who was clearly fidgeting in his seat. It felt as though the entire room held its breath, anticipating his rebuttal to my assertions, yet he chose to remain quiet. My attorney then pressed play on his phone, and the sound of a recording featuring Carter and Price plotting against me echoed throughout the room. Holden rose swiftly, cast a look at his associates, and then faced me and my attorney once more. Mr. Hayes, if you wouldn't mind, I need to have a private discussion with my partners. Half an hour later, Holden re-entered the room by himself. What are your requests, Mr. Hayes? He inquired. We expect your company to compensate my daughter and me with $5 million, or we will take legal action. The recording I shared with you, along with several others, is set to be released to the public. It's just that straightforward. My attorney informs me that Carter is likely to be disbarred, and the rest of you may encounter a similar outcome. The naming of prosecutors and judges could potentially damage your business and put your licenses at risk. Holden requested a couple of days to confer with his partners regarding my proposal. My attorney voiced their thoughts. You have 48 hours to reach an agreement, or the truth will be revealed. Just 2 days later, I received a call from my lawyer with some news. Their acceptance of the $5 million has been confirmed. I have a draft agreement that I would like to share with you. In return, we have consented to refrain from pursuing Mr. Price's estate, while they will remove Mr. Carter from the firm based on a moral clause, which will result in him forfeiting 90% of his partnership share. I consented to the conditions and took their payment. I entered into an agreement that prohibits me from revealing the actions taken by Mr. Price and his firm against myself and my family. Sophia had indeed been correct about one aspect. Her involvement had ensured our financial stability moving forward. Once the agreement with the law firm was finalized and the weight of financial pressure eased, Ethan Hayes paused to reflect on the chaos that had enveloped his life in recent months. He concentrated on what was truly important, his daughter Lila. Though the wounds of betrayal remained fresh, Ethan understood that this marked a pivotal moment. The burden of history lingered, yet it no longer shaped his identity. Ethan wisely allocated the settlement funds to build a secure future for Lila, providing her with all the essentials for a joyful and stable upbringing. He whisked her away to destinations she had long dreamed of exploring, and they dedicated more moments to activities that filled their hearts with happiness. Fishing, hiking, and even revisiting old passions that Ethan had set aside during the bleak times of his marriage. One day, as Ethan took Lila to her favorite burger joint, he encountered someone new. Her name was Sarah, a compassionate soul who had faced her own struggles, yet emerged more resilient than ever. She served as a guide, assisting individuals in overcoming their challenges, and she instantly resonated with Ethan, not only for the hardships he had faced, but also for the resilience he demonstrated in safeguarding his daughter and seeking a path ahead. As their relationship flourished, Ethan discovered the joy of laughter once more, a feeling that had eluded him for quite some time. Sarah exhibited a remarkable sense of understanding and patience, always allowing him the space he needed while providing a steady hand as they journeyed through their new life together. Lila grew fond of Sarah, delighted to witness her father's smile return, and they soon formed a close-knit family. With Sarah beside him, Ethan felt the weight of solitude lift, as if he were no longer traversing the journey of life in isolation. He discovered solace in the realization that not all was lost, and that love and happiness still awaited him, even after enduring the bleakest moments. United, they crafted a fresh existence, brimming with warmth, empathy, and authentic bonds. Eventually, Ethan discovered the power of forgiveness, not as a means of erasing the past, but as a way to free himself from the shackles of resentment that bound him to it. He was finally free from its burden. He possessed the future he had always dreamed of, a nurturing family, a feeling of tranquility, and an opportunity for renewed joy. For Lila, witnessing her father's joy once more transformed everything. She was raised in an environment filled with affection, feeling nurtured and valued, aware that despite their fractured history, they had discovered a path to mend and progress together. Esteemed listeners, we invite you to express your thoughts in the comments below. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to stay connected.